Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Behind the Reel podcast. This is episode 56. We are going to be joined by Clayton Westgate, and we're going to be talking about this last event that he fished with the Kansas Kayak Anglers out at what he may consider his home lake, Hillsdale Lake. He had a good day out there on the water. This was taking place on September 10th, and he took the win with 86.5 inches. Not a bad limit there. 3 fish, 18 inches or more. So a great day of Kansas kayak fishing for sure. And we'll hear all about it. We'll even get to take a look at those fish over on Tourney X. And he also has a video if you guys are interested, and we'll plug that here in a minute. But you can check him out at Blue Basser 86 over on YouTube. You may just get some information next time whether you're fishing this area or not. Dude catches a lot of fish, and I'd imagine there's a couple things that we could all learn from there. So check him out, Blue Basser 86 over there on YouTube. I do want to mention we are going to be circling back around on this giveaway that we started a little over a month ago, and it is centered around our apparel line. We've got the Behind the Reel hats and shirts up for sale on Shopify. The link is in the description of this video. If you guys want to check that out, you can do so by clicking on that link. And everybody that has made a purchase in the last month, I think it would be for the entire month of August up until we'll probably end it on Friday, will be entered into a drawing for this giveaway here. We unboxed this 6 cents bag. I think this was a July bag. And we unboxed it here on the channel. If you want to see that, you can go check it out. But just a quick recap, we've got the 6 cents Dogma 100 in there. We've got the Curve Finesse Square Bill. We've got the Cloud 9 C10. Kind of got some glare going on, but this isn't really to showcase the baits. But there's a lot of good ones in here, you guys. This is the Crush Flat 75X. We've got some of the jugular hooks, the worm hooks, whole pack of those. We've got a buff or a face shield, whatever you want to call it. What else do we got? There's a 6 cents exclusive color of their new bait here. This has been advertised as being put on like the back of a chatterbait, something like that. And that is called the Juggle is what that's called. Kind of a little forktail minnow bait. And the Crush 50X. And you'll get this sweet bag to go along with it. So if you guys were thinking about purchasing some Behind the Reel apparel to support the channel, you'll be entered into that drawing. Appreciate you guys. We've had quite a few orders go out, and I appreciate it. And love to run into somebody out at the lake one of these days rocking the apparel. All right. So, guys, as you can see, Mr. Organic over there, what's up, man? Appreciate you tuning in. If you do want to join in on the conversation, we've got 2 live stream feeds going on tonight, one on YouTube, one on Facebook. I have noticed in weeks past the Facebook comments aren't making it over for some reason to where we can see them. So I'll try to keep a better eye on it. I'll try to keep a Facebook window up just to kind of monitor that. But I believe there is an option for you to sign in. You have to basically tell Facebook, your YouTube credentials in order for it to show up over there, I believe. So if you guys are commenting over on Facebook and you're not getting a reply, you might just double check that over there. So just wanted to bring that up. We've got Danny over there in the comments as well. He's going to be coming up on a future podcast. He is the electronic fisherman, and we'll be talking some Humminbird electronics when that day comes. So appreciate you, Danny. We're going to go ahead and bring Clayton on, and we will just get right to it. What's up, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good.
So I know you've been running around a little bit, but you've had some time to reflect on the event. What was your overall takeaway from that event? We'll just do, just kind of a summary of maybe like the conditions and not necessarily like the individual catches, but what kind of conditions, I guess, were you dealing with that day?
Well, they changed a lot from the day before. The day before was really hot and calm, and oddly enough, the bite had been a lot better the day before on Friday during pre-fishing than it was during the tournament. The tournament, we had quite a bit of cloud cover and a decent amount of wind, and it was tough. I really thought that there would be the lake gets a good buzzbait bite and a good spinnerbait bite, and it wasn't happening for me. And on top of that, my slower moving bait bite that I had going the day before just slowed way down, and I'm not really sure why, but I don't know if it's that full moon. Maybe a lot of fish were feeding at night. We're still kind of that summertime pattern, so there's probably a lot of fish that are eating at night still, and maybe that's where I lost a lot of those bites at. They'd already eaten and had pulled off the bank or something, but it was tough fishing. I thought it was maybe going to be a little more offshore. They moved to the banks better than I thought they would for this tournament. I didn't think the water would cool off enough to get them moving up towards the bank, but it seemed like those little shad moved in the back of the coves really good, and the fish kind of followed them up too. So thankfully, some of them got moved up because I did not want to have to try to fish shore at all.
Okay, all right. It looks like it was pretty tough overall. I mean, we had 22 people show up, and 12 of those people caught 2 fish or less, or at least turned in 2 fish or less. We had 9 people catch 1 fish or less, and we had a few people walk away without putting a fish on the board. So we had 7 limits out of 22 people. I would say that's probably one of the tougher events of the year, I would think, statistically speaking. Would you consider this your home lake, Hillsdale?
It's real close to my house, but I don't fish it that often.
Okay.
I do enjoy fishing it because it's tough, and I like figuring out the puzzle.
Sure.
Anybody can go catch a fish at a lake that's easy, and when they're jumping the boat. But when you have to go and really try to figure them out, I kind of enjoy it more. I feel like I learn more at lakes like that. So I'll still make myself go out there and fish it pretty often, just to try to. I think it makes myself a better fisherman to go out and fish lakes like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what keeps me going back to, well, I say El Dorado, but then you guys come out of town and smashed them at El Dorado, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Do what?
My buddy from up here, he wants to go fish it with me after he saw how we did down there. So
yeah,
we almost made a trip down there a couple of weeks ago, but decided to go somewhere else instead.
I would love to hear how you do. Just because, I mean, any lake around here can be tough, I think, but El Dorado is definitely consistently tough for me and a lot of the guys around here. But yeah, you guys just came from out of town without a clue. A lot of you, I think, didn't pre-fish it or anything.
I'd only ever drove over the lake twice. That's the only time I'd ever even seen the lake before. And I had one day of pre-fishing, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you definitely are pretty good about figuring out that puzzle for sure. I do have a screenshot up here for those of you guys that are tuning in with us live. And this is showing you Clayton's YouTube channel, Blue Bastard 86. Been around for a long time. I want to say that I remember seeing you post videos back when I was first getting into fishing and starting the club back in like 2015. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that sounds about right, because it would have been, 2015, because that's when I bought my boat, was in 2015. So,
And I will tell you this. I remember here's a very I don't know why I remember this, but this is a very distinct memory that I have. We were doing an event at Cabela's with the club, and it was probably 2016 by this time, I would imagine. And it was their spring, sale that they have, and they have, like vendors and stuff come in. Well, we had a booth, and the club did, and just telling people about the club and stuff like that. And somebody came up to the booth and was talking to us and asked us if we had it was just me, I guess, asked me if I had seen this Blue Bastard 86 on YouTube and accused you of fishing private water because you caught so many fish. He's like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure he's always fishing private water because he's catching all these fish and stuff. So I doubt you were.
And I wish I had some good private water to fish. I don't even know the last time I fished a private pond or a private lake. Well, actually, I fished semi-private this summer down at Hidden Valley, but that's got
Where's
houses
that
all the way around it. It's
southeast?
South of mountains. Yeah, it's down southwest of Mound City, like 25 minutes.
Is that pretty nice?
But I caught that was the day I caught a like 5.5 and a 6 the same day out of the same brush pile.
That's a good day.
Yeah, it was a really good day, but it gets a ton of pressure, and they have tournaments on it and everything. So I guess it's private, but it still gets fished a ton. So I guess take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was funny because, it was just, it's like one of those, like, kind of a backhanded compliment, really. I mean, he was kind of bashing on you, but at the same time, in reality, it was a compliment. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But yeah, 7 years ago, I'm looking back here. 7 years ago, you posted your first video. So yeah, that was probably about 2015.
Yeah, that's the year I bought my boat, and that was when I started doing them.
What I'm curious, before we get too far into it, and I know you're not getting rid of your big boat anytime soon, but what made you go from the big boat to the kayak, or had you already been into the kayak stuff, or how did that all go down?
I had a Ocean Kayak Big Game Prowler 2, and I liked the concept of kayak fishing, but I hated the kayak. It was just a paddle kayak, and it got blown around in the wind really bad. It wasn't very stable, and it wasn't very fun to fish out of. I really had seen some guys from the times I'd been out that were in the Hobies, and that's mostly what I have seen is Hobies. I had never seen very many of the old towns. I've seen a couple like Wilderness, but with pedal kayaks, and I really liked that idea. Just being able to get around, because I fish a lot of small lakes around here, and I don't really need to take the boat. I've got a John boat also, but with the John boat comes all the same hassles that you deal with the boats. You got the batteries, you got to deal with the trailer, you got to deal with the gas, you got to deal with the oil, the trailer bearings, all the wiring, all the lights on the trailer. It's a pain.
Yeah.
With my kayak, I throw it in the back of my truck and I go. I don't have to worry about all that. If I'm fishing by myself, I don't need a boat anyways. So it just makes a lot more sense for me with the hassle. It makes a lot more sense money-wise. It's especially now gas being not as bad, but still pretty ridiculous. And I got to put ethanol free in the boat, so it gets pretty pricey pretty fast, especially if I'm running around very much.
Okay. What Okay. Shannon says the guy that made that private water comment needs to go compete against Clayton sometime. You definitely have a knack to figure things out. What do you attribute that to? Just time on the water? You talked about, you kind of compared fishing to figuring out a puzzle. Is it because you've put those pieces together so many different times? When you see that condition, you kind of know what to do. Like, how does that all play out in your mind? Like the behind the reel kind of approach to figuring out a body of water, I guess.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time studying beforehand. I've been fishing since I was in diapers. My parents got a picture of me before my first birthday holding a fishing pole, sitting on a sandbar. I've been fishing my entire life. I started fishing for bass pretty serious when I was 9, and then got into bass tournaments when I was 16. I won my first one in an adult club when I was 16, and I won back-to-back tournaments when I was 16 in an adult club out of the back of a boat. And I've spent just so much time on the water that I think you just start to recognize certain situations. And it's a combination of recognizing the situations and also fishing to my strengths. I see a lot of guys that go out and they get in a tournament situation, and that's when they want to try to experiment with something. And I'll do it myself sometimes. Every once in a while it works out. Like me throwing a flutter spoon at Wilson, not my strength, but I caught a good keeper doing it.
Yeah, that's a good example.
But I've tried doing stuff like that a bunch of other times, and it doesn't ever work. And you just waste a bunch of time doing it.
It could really bite you.
Yeah, but I know what I am good at now, and I've just come to recognize it, that I'll go out and that's what I'm going to go do, and just try to make the fish do what I need them to do, and it works out for me pretty well most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your goals in the kayak stuff? Like, do you have any interest in taking it further than, the KKA stuff? Are you wanting to go fish some of the more national tournaments? Is that something that's even crossed your mind?
I would like to. Right now, just with my kids being young, I'm kind of waiting for them to be a little bit older and a little more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So I don't like leaving my wife to have to deal with them for long periods of time. I should say deal with them, to have to be the only person at home. Two kids wears on you real quick. Even when they're being good, it's still a lot of work being at home with them by yourself for a couple days. So when you're gone on a long distance road trip, it's a lot to ask of somebody, and I just don't really think it's fair of me to ask her to do that a lot. She already lets me go and fish all the time anyways, or puts up with me going and fishing all the time anyways, just to as my, kind of release from all the stress I deal with at work. So
Yeah.
I don't want to push it too far, trying
How do
to
you?
keep the balance there.
Yeah. So how do you think that, assuming that you're just going to continue to, fish with KKA or, whatever local stuff, right? Maybe venture out here and there, but fishing in Kansas, like, how do you think that could possibly benefit you at these bigger tournaments? Do you think, like sometimes I wonder if, fishing in a state that's not typically known for big bass, that maybe not, be as productive water, like could that help you out when you go to some of these other places?
I think, in my experience from some of the other tournaments I've fished outside of Kansas, the ones that it helps me the most with are always the tough tournaments. If I go to a tournament and people are really catching them, I don't ever do very well. But if I go to a tournament and it is a grind, those are the ones that I do good at, because it's the ones like this last weekend where you're going and you're fishing through an area multiple times, trying to pick up one more bite each time you go through, each time you switch baits, and it's just mentally exhausting going and doing that over and over and over again. And if you're not in tune to it, if you're not going to really put your head down and do it, you're not going to be successful doing it. And when you have to do it all the time, like you do around here, just to get bites sometimes, I think that really helps. I've had a couple tournaments like that at out of state lakes that I think it's really helped me.
So we're just used to the mental exhaustion that fishing Kansas waters can put on you.
It really is. I mean, if you think of, like, we've got some pretty decent sized waters,
Yeah.
but you go somewhere like a Hillsdale or a Perry, and you've got all this water, but you have, like 2 or 3 spots that you could legitimately win at, and everybody knows it. So you either have to go and pick those spots apart, because after the first hour, those fish have seen so many baits that they're skittish and beat down, and you really have to do something to trick them, or you're going to have to go to some kind of secondary spot that has way fewer fish and, really comb the water to try to pick up every single bite you can get. So it is a ton of work at our lake, and the kayak fishing makes it even more so, because you can't just pull up your trolling motor and I know at Hillsdale I know certain trees I can go to, and I can go get a bite at this spot. I can go to this stretch of riprap right here and I can catch a fish real quick, but I can't do that in my kayak. So I have to decide whether I'm going to go try to pick a spot apart and go deal with the crowd, or if I'm going to go to a secondary spot and really try to work it for everything it's worth.
Yeah. So do you believe that Hillsdale was going to be one of 2 spots, or
I had two spots in my mind that I was going to fish. There was a third spot that produced really well also, that I hadn't really considered, and it came into play pretty well. I actually considered it after I went and fished it in practice, because there was a lot of fish. I just didn't know how many better quality fish there was, and that ended up being the issue during the tournament. From my understanding, was there was a lot of fish, there just wasn't the quality that the guys needed there.
So okay, so if there's only a couple of spots on that lake that are going to produce not necessarily produce fish, right? Because that's not what you're saying, but
Yeah.
produce that tournament winning bag, right? That 5 fish limit that's going to put you in that 80 plus inch range. Um, if there's only a few spots on that lake, you obviously got to kind of gamble, roll the dice a little bit, hope you're hitting the right one.
Yeah.
But I just completely lost it where I was going there. But I just completely lost it. I was
That's part of what I enjoy about the kayak fishing over the boat fishing, though, is there's so much more of a mental aspect to it.
yeah.
To me, it's not, well, I'm just going to go to this spot real quick and check it out, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to pull my motor up and go. You have to put so much thought into your starting spot, because if you start in the wrong spot, you're so
Mhm.
far behind just from starting in the wrong spot. And
Yeah.
then if you get to a spot, you can be misled really easily, because you could do like I did, where I started, catch that nice fish your first cast, and think, yeah, I got the right spot. 3 hours later, you haven't got another bite. And now you got to decide if you're going to try to stick it out there, or you're going to try to pull up and move. It's so much of a mental chess game that I'm still trying to get used to. I've had a couple tournaments where I know I hurt myself because I tried to move too much instead of
Yeah.
calming down, sitting down where I was at.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember where I was going. Okay, with that. So, um, is it that on Hillsdale specifically that do you think there's just fewer fish there? Is it just less population? Or is it that, you've got those bigger size fish like in such a concentrated area?
Uh, I think it's kind of a combination. I don't think there's a real good population of bigger fish. They also get concentrated because they have got the tournaments out there that they run every week. So they take them, bring them all back, turn them loose at the marina, and then you get all the fish that run around right there because it's good habitat. So there's not any reason for them to leave. So they just kind of hang out there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a combination of the two. But
Okay, I'm gonna pull up here and we'll look at a couple of these fish. Okay, so you said right off the bat you caught this. Was it the 18 1/4 inch fish?
yeah, the 18 1/4.
And how did that go down?
Uh, that one was on nothing. It was on just a little shallow flat, and I don't. I one time in a tournament had caught a solid fish about the same exact size as that one off of that flat on a spinnerbait, and I don't know why. Just something in my head kind of told me to go just make a couple casts with a bladed jig up on that little flat before it got light to see if there was any up there roaming around. And I left my whole first clip in there because it was like a minute 8 seconds into that first clip when that fish bit. So it was my third cast when that one hit.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it looks like it was still dark out.
Yeah, that was the all solid blue bladed jig.
Okay. And that's one that you're making?
Yeah.
What is it? CNC? What is it? What is the name?
Yeah. CNC custom baits.
Okay. Yeah, and I know Was it Neil? He's been catching some
Yeah.
on. Was it that same bait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's not been a fan of the bladed jigs, but he's had really good luck with that one here lately.
He likes those. Yeah. Yeah, I caught a fish on one of your baits before we ever met. That's kind of cool. I got one from Brian Andreka, and I think I caught a
Yeah.
fish on it the first time I ever used it. So it's a good bait. All blue. What do you think to all blue? Like, is that something you fish a lot?
Yeah, I do. I don't know what they see, but I fish a lot of that all blue bladed jig, all blue, just regular skirted jigs, all blue plastics. I don't know.
What
I've
watercolor
got
are you fishing that in? Does it matter?
the stained water mostly, but especially when you get the late summer algae blooms, that really green water, that's when it's really good. But the stained water it's really good in that too.
Yeah. That fish, for those of you
But
guys that can see the fish on the screen here, it looks pretty round.
it was thick. That was a thick fish.
That is, I mean, like, is that thing going to go 4 pounds or what?
Probably. That's not a typical Hillsdale fish at all.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to weigh it, but I really thought I was going to do something early in the morning when I get bit by that fish first thing. But yeah, it didn't work out like that.
So how long did you go before you caught another one then?
I probably only went maybe 20 minutes before my next fish, but
Okay.
it was 11 inches.
Yeah.
My next fish was 10. Then I caught a 9.5. And my limit fish, I think, was 13 inches. So the size was lacking severely.
Yeah, and you had second place by quite a bit there. You had them by almost 10 inches.
Yeah. I told myself I wasn't going to look at the standings all day. I broke that promise and checked at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I think first place was 71 or 72 inches. And I think I had that by a couple inches at that point. But I didn't figure that would hold up all day. So I was stressing a little bit because I don't think I had caught my second 18-inch fish at that point. I think I had culled a couple 13.5s, and I caught that 14.5, and the 14.5 looked like a giant compared to everything else I had, other than the 18.25, because I was just catching so many dinks. I watched a guy fishing with his dad, and the old man in the back was just yanking a popper as hard as he could. It looked like he was fishing for peacock bass. And he did it a couple times, and then he went to reel it in. He was burning across the top, and the water just exploded. And he caught one that was probably, I would guess, 21 inches doing that. Yeah. It was painful, and it was cool at the same time because he was so pumped up. He said it was the biggest bass he'd ever caught. I could hear the whole thing go down. So, I was excited for him, and it was still early in the morning, so I was still really needing fish at that point. So kind of hard to watch too, but it was funny. What you're doing everything right, and then you watch somebody catch one just reeling a popper straight in.
So he's just a straight retrieve, or
He was yanking it so hard that I thought he had a bite the first time I heard it. I thought it was a fish hitting it the first yank he did. And then I turned around and I saw him yank his whole rod again. I saw water explode all over just from his popper. And then I saw him just start reeling it. And I heard the explosion from across the cove when that fish hit it. And I don't think either one of them thought it was a bass. And then they started scrambling around, and he picked up out of the water, and I heard how excited he was. Him saying that it was the biggest bass he'd ever caught. So
Are you
that
gonna
was
try
cool.
that retrieve next time you go out?
I'm not gonna. I'd be lying if I said I didn't tie a popper on after I saw that happen. But I never got any bites.
Smack.
I couldn't get. I just had a chug bug. I didn't have anything that would throw that much water. I don't know what he was fishing. It was some bright green thing, but man, it was throwing a lot of water.
Was it still dark?
No. This was probably 8:00 in the morning when that happened. It was still kind of low light, but
yeah, just trying to get their attention, I guess. I mean, it worked. Shit.
Well, he did. He caught that, and then he caught probably a 16-incher right when they got past me too. So it was doing something for him, but I couldn't figure it out.
That's wild. Donnie's got a question for you. He says, "What's the wildest thing that happened during your winning tournament day?" Other than that, I guess that's pretty wild.
That was pretty wild. Watch that happen. I had one goofy hook set right towards the end of the day. I about lost my whole rod. I don't know how I bill danced that thing up, but I had one that I was trying to call that 14.5. That was the last smaller fish, and I set the hook, and it's just one of those weird ones that I kind of set the hook awkwardly away from my body and just about lost my whole rod. And then when I was fighting that 17 3/4, it swam around a tree, around a lay down. My wife's coming in. She's opening the garage door, so there might be some noise. But
no problem.
When I was trying to get in a better position to fight it, so I was pedaling backwards really fast, and ended up high centered on a stump while I was fighting it. And when I was trying to net it, I was trying not to tip my kayak over while I was trying to net it.
You didn't end up going for a swim, though, did you?
No, it was only like 2 foot deep, so
did you get
up?
Been a big deal. You didn't pull a Danny Bugner and end up stuck on the stump for an hour, did you?
No, I just had to go to the front of the kayak, and I floated up off of it.
Is there okay? So I wasn't. I've never been to Hillsdale. I've never been there, and I obviously, you guys that fished it know that I wasn't there at that event. Son had his first football game, so I had to miss that one. But is there a bunch of standing timber in there? What does the watercolor look like? Can you give the listeners kind of an idea of what that lake sets up like?
It's about a 5,000 acre lake. It has a lot of timber, quite a few laydowns. It's a lot of hardwoods, hedge trees, and it's got a lot of mud banks. It's got some rock, but a lot of mud banks. So it is fairly dirty water most of the time. The closer you get to the dam, like most lakes, it clears up a little bit. But it got zebra mussels in it maybe 5 years ago. So you mix zebra mussels with standing timber, makes it really interesting, just trying to get them out. Yeah. And that has really made it difficult, but it's cleared the water up a little bit also, which I don't know that that's really a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah, because it used to fish really shallow, and it seems like they're getting a little deeper anymore, and now you just have to pull them up through more trees than what you used to. So it's just kind of a standard old Kansas reservoir, I guess.
Somebody told me when they were pre-fishing, they ended up fishing some sort of bluff wall. Is there
Yeah.
much of that out there, or
No, not at all.
you probably know exactly what
There,
I'm talking about then?
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't ever catch fish off of it. I've tried, and I think I caught one time, and I fished pretty much the whole thing to get that one bite. I haven't ever gone back and tried it again. I know a lot of people crappie fish it, but
Okay.
I know a couple guys who can go there and catch fish, but I just don't ever hardly get bit there, so I don't really mess with it a whole lot. I catch them on the shallow, just nothing banks.
So the next one down on your card here is going to be this 18. He's a dark looking one, skinny guy.
That was my last keeper of the day, my last call of the day. I caught that one on Menace.
Okay.
I missed a fish in that tree twice on a power worm early in the day.
Just like Texas rigging it.
Yeah, I had a little 3/16 ounce bullet weight on and a 3/0 eagle claw hook, and I'd got bit real good in that tree in practice on the power worm. I flipped into that tree, and it was on it immediately. I picked it up, and it pulled me back down into the tree and pulled the whole worm off the corkscrew. So I knew I had to go back and try to get that one because it felt pretty heavy, and I'd missed it twice earlier in the day. So I got back there with 30 minutes left in the tournament, and I got that one.
Yeah, that's a good kayak fish. That first one would have been a good bass boat, by weight fish for sure.
That one, those 18 inches is what they got to be a keeper out there. So
to weigh in.
Yeah, that'd be a skinny keeper, but an 18-incher helps a lot.
I would imagine, yeah. So you got two of them. You got two 18-inchers there. Neither one of them are anywhere near the build that first one was.
No, that one was my second. I guess that would have been. So I got the 14.5 after the 18.25. So that would have been the third one of my 5 that I caught. I caught that one on a power worm. Yeah. I wish I had caught myself in the video because I was talking to myself like I'm sure everybody probably does. I'd cast up to this stump. It's just a big single stump by itself on the edge of a drop. And it drops from about 3 or 4 feet down to about 9 feet. And there's kind of a tangle of tree limbs down at the base of it. And I was kind of reminiscing to myself that I had never caught a fish worth a crap out of this tree. And then I got just a little peck, and that's what it turned out to be. So
heck yeah. No,
I tried it a couple more times that day, and it didn't work out for me, trying to reminisce of all the fish I haven't caught out of any of these trees. And that was the only time it worked.
Is that shirt you're wearing? Is that a like Swimbait Universe or Swimbait Underground?
Yeah, Swimbait Universe.
Is that did you bust out any swimbaits that day?
I didn't. I've caught some wake bait fish out there, but the trees and the zebra mussels scare me with my swim baits out there because they get around those trees and they take your swim baits with them real quick.
What's your go-to wake bait?
I like a slammer really well. That's what I caught my personal best swim bait fish on. But just 6 even. Caught that out of a little tiny pond right off the side of Hillsdale, actually. But I like the bull wake really well also.
Yeah.
Those are the two main ones I like. Fish Lab makes a really nice cheap bluegill wake bait that I like.
Yeah. Do you fish many glide baits or soft plastic swim baits?
I like glides really well. I've caught quite a few nice glide bait fish. I fished the shine glides a lot, and I've caught a lot of fish on those. Those are a really good fish catcher for not too much money, but the shad's been really good for me. I've got one of the clutch glides. I've caught quite a few fish on.
Yeah.
I got
You
one.
come out with another one.
Yeah.
Getting ready to, or I think maybe drop some of those.
I think he just dropped some of his baits, some of the new ones. I like the line through.
Do you?
Style weedless ones. It seems like I have a hard time hooking fish on a weedless one, or top hooks also for some reason. But I can't get bit very well on soft bait for some reason.
You said you can't?
No, I don't think I probably fish them slow enough. The Optimum Baby line throughs, I used to do really well on those, but those are just little 5-inch swim baits. So
yeah,
nothing very big. I've got some top shelf 7-inch line throughs that I've caught some nice fish with this year, though.
Do you ever fish those in dirty water?
I've caught some nice ones at Lacine. It's pretty dirty, and I got bit on the clutch down at El Dorado pre-fishing this year, and that was like 6 inches of visibility down there.
You didn't get him in?
No, he just came up and drove it straight side. I imagine it was probably a smallmouth. He just come up and ran it straight sideways on me and didn't get the hooks.
Yeah.
They like to just run into them and not open their mouths. That's what they kept doing me at Table Rock this summer. The smallmouth would come up and just run right into that shad, not open their mouths.
Yeah, just trying to get it out of there. Just kind of a predatory thing, like more of a, not really a predatory thing, but more of a
like a territorial thing.
Territorial, there you go. That's what I was looking for. That makes a lot of sense. Do you get out to, or not El Dorado? Do you get out to Table Rock often?
We usually go about once a year. The family likes going down there. My parents have got a timeshare down there, so we've gone. They've just kind of started inviting us like once a year, and we go stay down there. It's like around Clevenger Cove, down kind of close to the dam. So not necessarily the best part of the lake to go fish, or not in my opinion anyways, but
yeah.
I love fishing Table Rock. It's a blast to fish, but it doesn't have the biggest fish, and it can definitely be a really tough lake, but it's a really pretty lake, and it's a lot of fun to fish.
Yeah. Okay. So on the tournament side of things, what was your goal coming into the year? Were you coming into this thing, looking at Angler of the Year? What was your mentality there?
I didn't really set any goals for myself. I kind of just, I was still really new at the kayak tournament thing. I still feel like I'm trying trying to learn how to do it, I guess. I still catch myself doing stuff that why did I do it that way? Like I'll miss fish because I've got myself all turned around stupid, and knowing that I should have taken the time to reposition myself. It's not like being in the boat where I can just turn my body. I have to turn my whole kayak, and but I think Angler of the Year is always something that I'm aiming for.
Right.
I didn't know whether I would really have any kind of shot, because I knew there was going to be some really, really good fishermen. I fished with Flint Hills last year. There was really good fishermen in that group, and I knew that most of them were going to be coming over and fishing KKA also, and there was going to be all the really good guys from all the other groups was going to be coming to KKA also. So I knew my work was going to be cut out for me if I was going to be aiming for something like that.
Sure.
So I just kind of like to be competitive. If I can stay competitive in them, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. And I really wanted one of those plaques. Those plaques are awesome. After I saw them the first time, and man, I worked hard to try to get one. There's a couple times I thought for sure, and there's just so many good fishermen in the group that I kept just barely missing. And
how many you have? Do you have a couple second place finishes? Don't you?
I don't have any. This is the first plaque I got all year.
I've got third, I guess, because second you would have had, right? So
yeah, I've got third twice.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't have any big bass. I don't ever win big bass. No, never.
What's up?
I've never been I don't know. I've never been the guy that wins big bass in tournaments. I think all last year in Flint Hills, I think I won it twice. And one of those was my biggest one I've ever caught out of a kayak. So
what was that?
Actually, I didn't win it the other time because somebody else, I got the second one at that one. So yeah, I only won it once all last year at Flint Hills, but I caught a 22-incher at Perry.
Wow. Yeah, so that was a largemouth, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it was just shy of 7 pounds.
Wow. Heck yeah. So yeah, there's guys that's kind of odd. I mean, you're very consistent, you always figure it out, but you never catch big bass, huh?
No, I don't know what the deal with that is. Like, I can catch a lot of 3, 4, 5 pounders, but
yeah,
once they get bigger than that, I don't know.
Eat your bait, huh?
No, it doesn't seem like it.
Huh. And then you got Wes Kinsey. Every time he turns around, he's catching a big old bass.
It does seem like some people just have a knack for catching the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a couple wins under his belt this year, but I think this has kind of been his breakout year. He didn't have a lot of, real high tournament rankings, I don't think, up until this year, but he was still catching those big bass. I guess you just figured out how to catch more of them,
Yeah, well, I mean, when you catch one of the big ones, I think you can just kind of shift in that, man. If you can catch them early, you can kind of shift into that mentality that now I just need to get 4 more to go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a big old 20 plus goes a long ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure does. That tournament at Perry for our championship at Flint Hills last year, I caught that 22 like 2 hours into the first morning. And that just goes so far at a lake like that you can really kind of change your whole game plan when you catch a fish like that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your limit there, I mean, you've got 3 18 or over, and then your fourth fish was damn near 18, 17 and
Yeah.
3/4. And you ended up having to submit a 14 and a half. So I mean that could have really bumped you up a lot, if you would have been able to find a little bit better fifth fish. I mean, you would have been up there in the 90s, and 90s seems to be really hard to do around here a lot of the time, and especially this time of year.
Yeah. I really think I had that bite there right at the end of the day, but I was afraid that was going to come back and bite me when I had that goofy hook set. But
did you feel like you had it won with what you were turning in? Were you worried about?
I was really worried
About
I really
Cole
thought
not
that 14
turning in his fish till the end of the day.
Cole, Matt, yeah. I really,
Austin,
and then I didn't submit mine until the end of the day, and then one of them wouldn't go through. One of the 18s wouldn't go through. So Josie only had me at like 69 and a half inches. So I had to send him. For some reason, every time I submitted it was just coming through black. So he had to submit one of my fish for me.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what the issue was then, but I mean, I just was adding them to my live well, and for some reason it went to my live well and was fine, but when I tried to submit it was coming through black.
Yeah, that's odd.
It's a pretty tense moment for me for a minute.
Oh, I bet. I bet you
wasn't able to get one of my fish to submit, and I didn't have very good service, and was running out of time real quick to get that fish submitted.
What do you think? What do you think the overall consensus of Hillsdale is? Do you think that's one that we should consider to put back on the schedule for next year? What do you think the rest of the guys maybe are thinking that fished it?
I would guess they probably wouldn't be real excited to come back, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't mind fishing it. I liked not having to drive anywhere. That was great. Driving 15 minutes from my house. That was nice, but I don't. Like I said, having the tough ones on there.
Yeah,
you can't make every single one of them Wilson. So
no,
you have to have some of the tough flakes on there. I do like some of the suggestions we had for some of the ones that are out there a ways, but you can't expect people to drive 4 or 5 hours to every single one of them either. So I wouldn't have a problem coming back here, but I don't know. I would guess that there would be some people that would drop off, but I'm sure that happens with every tournament. Everybody has their lakes that they like and that they want to fish and don't want to fish. I mean, I didn't go to Timber Creek because I didn't want to go to that lake from the stuff that I read. So I'm sure there's people that felt the same way about this lake.
Yeah. Yeah, Timber Creek. I think it ended up being a little better than anticipated, even. For that time of year, and it's too small of a lake, really. But I think we probably won't go back to that one. But obviously, Hillsdale is not going to be a size issue, I don't think at all. But I think I think it makes sense to have those grinder tournaments. I think that if what we're trying to do with Angler of the Year is figure out who the best angler is. Like you said, you can't just fish everything in lake in prime time.
Yeah.
Just the schedule wouldn't work out for one. We probably wouldn't fish at all in August. I mean, July is probably a little bit iffy. So I mean, I think that it would make sense to have those grinder tournaments, and the guy that comes out on top is going to be the guy that maybe not necessarily wins a bunch, but is very consistent.
Yeah.
Which you've
Yeah.
been.
I mean,
I
if
think
this
you're going to be
tournament
right.
was,
I think you're going to be right there. I haven't looked at the numbers yet. I'm sure you probably have, but but I think that you're going to be right there if not take it. But um, I think that's what it takes, and I think that next year too. I think the people that are really interested in trying to make AOI or get as high as they can, get in that top 5 so you can qualify for the All American, or if your goal is just to place as high as you possibly can, probably going to have to fish them all for your best chance.
yeah. Uh, and I was kind of disappointed to miss the Big Hill one. I was at Table Rock that weekend.
Yeah, and there's always going
That
to be
lake was,
scheduling conflicts. I mean, it's probably not very realistic that you make them all. Some guys will, but yeah, I mean, if you've got family trips scheduled, it's just one you're just gonna have to miss. He just fell coming down the stairs.
I'm okay.
yeah.
He's okay. But yeah, I think that yeah, I don't know. But I'm excited for next year. I'm excited to see, everybody coming back. I'm excited to see new people being introduced to the sport. I'd like to try to grow this Bass Nation thing. Really like to do maybe one last push here right before this state championship. Try to get a couple more people entered. I will mention that if you have any interest at all in fishing the state championship, here's a little bit of a perk, and that is if you register, and this may not be the case next year, they're talking about changing it, but if you register after September 1, your membership is good through 2023. So if you're planning on competing in 2023, you can pay now, and you can actually qualify to fish the state championship this year and also be paid up through next year. So if you guys are wanting to fish October 8th and you didn't get a fish in either qualifiers, shoot me a message. We'll get you set up. We're really trying to hit that 20 angler mark so we can send two people to the big show. So anybody out there listening that wants to get in on it, time's running out. We've only got, a couple weeks to make something happen. We're probably looking for 3 or 4 more people to make that happen. So just want to put that out there. But you got I don't know, we probably didn't touch on everything, but what about did we talk about all the baits that you caught fish on? I know you said you caught one on the Menace, caught one on the blue chatterbait.
Yeah, I had the blue chatterbait. I got the baits. It's
Green.
Just a watermelon red Menace.
Okay.
Dipped the tails in chartreuse. I said that the bite had changed a lot. I was catching some blue fleck 7-inch power worm was what was getting a lot of bites the day before. And I was getting quite a few bites with it Saturday, but they were a lot smaller. And I kind of noticed as I was going around that there was a lot of bluegills that were tucked right up against the trees. And I kind of got to thinking that maybe those bigger fish were eating those bluegills instead of, there was a ton of little shad around. I'm sure everybody saw the fish blasting those shad, and a lot of them were white bass, but some of them were largemouth also. And I thought maybe some of those bigger largemouth were eating those bluegills. So I switched that menace, that kind of bluegill colored menace with the tail dipped in chartreuse, to look like that little bit of green that those juvenile bluegills always have on their tail, and started pitching that at the trees. And it was like my second or third flip that I caught that 17 3/4. And 10, 20 minutes later, I caught that next 18-incher. That was the last 45 minutes or an hour of the tournament that I caught those two coals. So that was a pretty major change going to that bait.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well,
I want to hear how Hip caught fish on a frog out there.
you don't ever catch them on a frog, or what?
Not out at Hillsdale. Only when it's flooded, but it ain't flooded right now.
Just no grass, or?
No, not really. Yeah. Unless he found some somewhere that I don't know about. But
okay. Donnie's asking about your kayak setup. Are you in the PDL, or are you in the?
Yeah, I've got the Old Town Sportsman 120 PDL.
Yeah.
I've got a video of it on my channel, but I don't have it set up real fancy or anything. I got a toolbox that I keep in the back that I kind of have modified, and that's my tackle box, just a rolling toolbox from Walmart. Works pretty nice, got slide out trays and everything in it. But I got a 2x4 that I cut in half that I use for seat risers. They fit right in the channels instead of spending $40 on the seat risers. I haven't fallen off of them yet, so they work pretty well. But
heck yeah,
I want to do some upgrading on it, but gotta have the money to do it. So maybe eventually, but I'm catching fish out of it right now still. So
heck yeah. All right. Well, I know we kind of got on here late, so we'll go ahead and sign off. But it was cool to see you come out and do your thing. Kind of on a little bit bigger stage. We kind of seen you over there in the Flint Hills group, whooping up every now and then on folks over there. It seemed like you were on a pretty big hot streak over there, and then you come over here and did the same exact thing. So I don't think anybody was surprised, but it was kind of cool to see, and it was cool to hear you make a comment out at, I think, Wilson, or I can't remember where it was, about wanting one of those plaques, and seeing you make it happen on the very last opportunity to get one.
I was starting to think that it wasn't going to happen. Yeah. I really felt like I had the pattern put together for this one. I was sitting out there before the tournament started Saturday. I just feel my heart racing because I was ready to go out there and fish, and hoping that everything panned out for me, and that the conditions wasn't going to change too much, and the bite wasn't going to change too much, and all the emotion fishing the whole year and everything kind of coming down to that moment if I wanted to try to get one, and having it finally happen. Yeah. It was pretty exciting. My wife said I was grinning ear to ear when I walked in the door with the plaque.
That's awesome, man. Heck yeah. Yeah, that was pretty
Still
clutch.
get excited about it.
That was pretty clutch, man. I mean, it was sink or swim, and you were swimming, that's for sure. You swam away with that first place plaque.
Yeah, I need to get out and fish with some of these other guys in the group. I know I live kind of close to several of them. I don't know if we need to have some kind of like social event.
I think that's what we
just
need
kind of
to do. Yeah, and maybe even see some of the. And I know the Flint Hills group has been doing their weekly thing, and they've kind of been doing that. But yeah, maybe try to get the whole KKA group together in the off season a little bit. I know a lot of guys are switching gears to hunting and stuff. There's a lot of us that aren't. There's a lot of us that'd still rather be on the water. So
I love hunting season because people get off the water.
Yeah. That's how I am. I mean, one day I might get into hunting, but for now, I'd rather be on the water.
I enjoy hunting too, but every time I go, all I do is sit there and think about how I could be fishing.
It's funny.
But I think a day on something like a day on the water and a cookout or something like that would be a good time.
Yeah. You guys listening, let's make it happen. Somebody make a Facebook post. We'll pick a place, and I'm sure at least a handful of us will show up. So, and I do know there's something going on at Shawnee Lake on Sunday, maybe. Is that the Flint Hills group doing a makeup league night thing or something?
Yeah. They switched because it's getting dark early now, and you can't really get your money's worth driving somewhere and trying to fish for 2 hours for a tournament. So I think they switched to Sunday evenings instead. I don't get off work in time to make any of the Thursday nights, so now they're going to do Sunday evenings from I think 5 until dark or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking I was going to make that one because I was planning on being in the neighborhood, but something happened, and so we're not going to be up there. But anyways, yeah, there's still some stuff going on here and there. But well, Clayton, I want to thank you for coming on. You've been on the show a few times now, and it was cool to have you on here to talk about winning on your quote unquote home lake by 9 inches. Maybe not what you expected, but great finish, and you had quite a few good fish there on the board. So again, just putting together the pieces of the puzzle, and you made it happen. So.
Yeah, finally got the ones that I needed to in the kayak. I've had a couple close calls earlier this year that I felt like I had the fish that I needed on those good finishes that I didn't quite win. It was nice to finally get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, you have a good one, and hopefully we'll see you out there on the water before too long.
Sounds good.
All right, take it easy, man.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, there it is. That is the real episode. I don't know. What did we say? 56, I believe. Episode 56, Clayton Westgate, Hillsdale Lake, Kansas Kayak Anglers. Really cool to be a part of the inaugural season of the Kansas Kayak Anglers, seeing it come to an end, seeing how everything shook out, seeing all the different people from all the different groups, and some of them are the ones that you expected, and some of them aren't. it's really cool to reflect on. We'll have to do an episode just reflecting back on the year because I think all in all it was a success. I'd like to congratulate all of the guys that have won throughout the year, the guys that have won Big Bass, the team series, even a second place finish. Really does mean a lot when you got guys that are fishing at this caliber. This may be just a local thing, but we've got some absolute hammers in the group. We've got some people that have bullied us, for years. When they were just their individual groups, when we were in those 4 separate groups. You've had guys that will win Angler of the Year multiple years in a row. We've got guys that have proven themselves on the national tournament scene as well. So really cool to see how this year is kind of shaped up. So congrats to Clayton. Awesome to see him get one of those trophies, one of those plaques that he's been wanting. And he's definitely one of the most consistent guys out there. We've got a few of them, but he's definitely one of the most consistent. So appreciate him joining us tonight. And if you guys haven't already, go check us out Behind the Reel. We're over there on Shopify. You can get some apparel, get entered into that drawing. We are now on Spotify as well. So if you guys are wanting to listen in the car while you're at the gym, whatever it may be, we are on there as well. So appreciate all of the support. The channel is growing. Before long, we're going to be creeping up on 1,600 subscribers. But before you know it, it's going to be 2,000. And we're looking at growing it way further than that. So it's kind of been a slowly but surely approach. But we're trying to do it the right way. We're growing organically. We're doing stuff here at the local level. And we're just trying to grow the sport and spread the love. So I'm going to get on out of here, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next one.